dust settling after the 2024 election, major questions now being raised over the massive sums Democrats and the Harris campaign spent this cycle, only to lose the popular and electoral vote, including in all 7 swing states. Take a look at these numbers we're getting in post-election from the ad tracking firm Ad Impact. The Harris campaign spending $880 million on advertising alone. Pro-Democratic outside groups spending even more than that for a total of nearly $2 billion. President-elect Trump and his affiliated groups also spent nearly $1.5 billion. But look at this. The campaign itself paid out less than half what Team Harris did on ads. I want to bring in NBC's Ali Raffo standing by for us with this. These are staggering amounts of money just for VP Harris to comfortably, by the way, lose the election. Is the campaign and the DNC, are they questioning how they spent this money, or even if it was really necessary to spend all of this in the first place?
Yeah, Yasmin, well, the full story of how the Harris campaign was able to not only raise but also spend these historic amounts of money is no doubt going to be studied for decades to come. But as I know we've all been reporting, Democrats are already pointing fingers at each other over what could have been done differently to better position the vice president for victory. Questions like how President-elect Trump was able to spend a fraction of what the Harris campaign spent and still win here, and what possibly could have been done differently as far as the redirection of resources and finances to provide for a different outcome here. And remember, one of the biggest advantages that Vice President Harris had becoming the Democratic nominee was the infrastructure and the finances that she inherited from President Biden, and the campaign thinking that that would keep the momentum going for the next 107 days of her campaign. And despite all of that, we saw right up until Election Day a neck and neck race. We saw Harris campaign officials say even on Election Day they expected this to be an extremely tight race, and obviously that's not what we ended up seeing. So Democrats are still trying to figure out what could have been done differently, whether money should have been spent in other areas. Was the problem the direction of these finances, or was the problem simply Vice President Harris as a candidate herself, and how they were able to still misunderstand the majority of Americans who say that their economic situation and their finances were their biggest reason for voting for President Trump in this election. Yes.
So you talk about money spent in other areas, right? We mentioned the insane amount of money that was spent on ads alone, right? $880 million, for instance, for the Harris camp. But we also know they spend money on staff, on rallies, on research as well. And we're going to kind of get a better, bigger picture of all the money that was spent and where it was spent soon. What is that kind of going to tell us?
Yeah, so I think it's important to note right off the bat, there are a lot of unconfirmed reports about specifically where the Harris campaign did and did not spend money. And as you mentioned, we're expecting to get a bigger, fuller picture of these finances within the next month, because the Federal Election Commission, the FEC, requires these campaigns to file a final report of their finances within 30 days of the campaign. So the election. So that puts us right at December 5th. And we're expecting to get a bigger breakdown of specifics like staffing, what the salary of these staffers were, how much money went into infrastructure like field offices, how much money was spent on advertisements, on travel around the country for the vice president and staffers, money spent on these massive campaign rallies, these star-studded rallies that she had, especially in the run-up to the election. There are some unconfirmed reports about specifics, these impressive numbers of what the Harris campaign spent, where it's likely we don't have that many specifics that we learned from this breakdown by the FEC. And again, the Harris campaign is not commenting or confirming any of those specific numbers, Yasmin.
All right, Ali Raffo.